Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and this is your weekend's deep dive TA and all of that good stuff. I think we could probably get into some new positions as of next week, so I'm going to show you that. And I'm not going to spend any time going over the CPI and inflation data because I think, one, we've done it to death, and two, nothing has really changed since last Saturday's video. So if you're new here, if you're unfamiliar with this whole inflation idea of mine, then go and watch this video right here, Sticky Inflation Melt Up Cancelled. Have a look at that from last Saturday. For everyone else, we've done this to death, so as I'm sure you can appreciate, you don't need to hear it again, and nothing has really changed since then. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things I've been observing, a little bit of Bitcoin stuff, and then we're mostly going to do the charts because I think that's what's going to be important going into next week. I was saying this yesterday on Twitter that I see a lot of trolls right now for some reason, and that says something. I'm just not exactly sure what. Normally, what I'm used to seeing, at least anecdotally, is we get some big run up, right, and then we get a sharp correction, and in that sharp correction, it's usually down here that the trolls come out and they're quite spiteful and toxic, and I would suspect, or speculate at least, that is because they get wrecked on this downside move. It catches them off guard, and then they get upset about it right down here. But what we've got at the moment is the market's going straight up like this, and then trolls and toxicity is quite high up in this neighborhood. So that tells me something. I'm just not entirely sure what it is, but I'm sure that's going to be revealed. Markets always end up revealing the truth, of course. I found this tweet from Willy Woo, and I thought this was really, really good. Take a look at this, okay? Let's assume inflation is 2% annualized, wage growth at 4%, stocks and real estate 10%. So if you understand this early enough, it will change your life, okay? Food prices are going to 2x in the next 35 years. Your wages are going to 4x, but your investment will grow 28 times. So this means unless you learn to invest, you will end up poor. Something to think about. Over in Nigeria, they officially blocked Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken. And once again, Bitcoin continues to do Bitcoin things, okay? Every time somewhere bans Bitcoin, what happens to the price? Because over in Nigeria, it went up 4 million after the announcement, okay? You cannot stop an idea because ideas are bulletproof. We've seen this in China. We've seen this all over the world multiple times. Whenever they ban it, the price goes into orbit. Hash rate usually increases as people race to mine it. By the government saying they don't want you to have it, it naturally forces people to want it more. And as I have seen over and over and over again, I know what comes next here. What comes next is you give it some weeks or some months and Nigeria will, of course, reverse this ban. That is typically what tends to happen. Very nice spot here with Bitcoin and the DXY, because if you take a look at what's happening at the hard right edge, okay, we have got Bitcoin in blue crossing above the DXY in orange, just like we did back here. And of course, last time we did this, very, very good things happened to the price of Bitcoin walking forward as the Dixie came down and made a 3-year cycle low. Now, if you're familiar with this channel, we have been expecting one final leg down for the DXY into that 3-year cycle low. So I do wonder if indeed we're going to get history to repeat. We find a 3-year cycle low for the Dixie like this, whilst Bitcoin does Bitcoin things. Just before we get into some charts and go over the deep dive in the TA and the new positions, I wanted to point this out, okay? This is one possible outcome, that it's game over any day now, and we're going Great Depression, and it's the end of the world, and the sky is falling, and all of that. But remember, this kind of stuff is really popular online because a lot of people are susceptible to living in a fear state. But just remember, for every single one of these doom poster fractals, and I'm not saying that this is off the table, okay? This is one possible scenario. But the truth is, most people that present this type of data, okay, present it as if this is the only possible outcome or the most probable outcome. When in fact, for every one of these fractals that you can find that implies the top is close and a significant downside period is incoming, you can also, remember, find the same number of fractals that suggest what comes next is very significant upside price action. So yes, this kind of fractal is one possible outcome, but that's all it is, okay? And for every one of these, like I said, there is one of these. And I've just been reminded, Jay sent me this. Take a look at this, okay? Again, down the bottom in black, we've got the NASDAQ from 2022 at the end of the year. And in the blue, we've got the NASDAQ partying like it's 1999, okay? So remember, like I said, for every one of those doom poster fractals, there is one of these party time fractals as well. Hopping into this melt up chart of mine, it's not looking so bad, is it? It still kind of looks feasible. And right now, when we're looking at it like this, doesn't seem that unreasonable. But down here, when this call was made, it seemed insane. Still seems like there's plenty of gas left in this goose, albeit we've got some cycles to find in the meantime, I'm sure of that. So let's get into some charts. First of all, the DXY looks encouraging at this moment in time, doesn't it? So all the while we can, generally speaking, continue to trend down, as my yellow squiggle suggests, we should be on for finding a 3-year cycle low, and this should be conducive perhaps to a risk on moment in the stock market and Bitcoin. Bitcoin continues to do Bitcoin things. We're still pushing 2 positions here. Some kind of pullback makes sense before a resumption higher, but there is plenty of time left in this cycle to see further upside for these positions to continue being pushed. In terms of the crypto stocks, I mean, long and strong continue to push, right? We're adding positions. We continue to want to add further positions on pullbacks if the market provides us with an opportunity. And Marathon is possibly setting up for a second entry somewhere in here. I wonder if what we can do, I was thinking about this week, perhaps this week coming, I wouldn't be surprised if I add a second position out of here, something like this. So I didn't want to go chasing this because it was going to be quite difficult to find a place to put the stop without having to stop too wide. But it seems like we're now getting in that neighborhood where we can have a nice tight stop and an area on the chart, i.e. this trend line, to manage the risk around. So I could see myself adding a second Marathon position. Don't have one as of yet though. Oil is still continuing to kind of follow my yellow squiggle for now at least. So all the while we hold above the support in red and continue up, something like this, then I'll stay out of the way of it, I don't care. But as my yellow squiggle suggests, break down from this upward sloping red support line and I will be re-entering short. So we did really well on this channel at capturing this to the short side. Everyone thought I was crazy for that, and I wonder if we can get a repeat on a bear flag breakdown. That's to be determined, but I'm still lining that up. In yesterday's video, I was talking about shorting gold, and a lot of the members were messaging me online and asking when I was going to execute this trade. I haven't actually executed it because, as you can see, we only got a little wick down, and then by the time I finished recording, we'd already bounced back up, and then we just continued up. So remember, the sell signal, as always, is a daily closing candle below the trend line or above the trend line if we're moving to the long side. So all the while we hold above this upward sloping red hit on here, then we'll continue to play patient. But the moment we get a daily close below, that will be the trigger for the short, and I usually tend to short things into the close. So still no position for me in terms of shorting gold. Of course, if you're a member, level 3 member, I'll notify you when I take it. There is also one other scenario that I haven't mentioned before, but there's always a chance that that is the weekly cycle low. Now, I don't think it is, but we can't rule this out. And if it is, then that tells us that what we're going to do is actually continue higher, break out of here and move up. And if we do, then the best thing for me to do would be to long the break above this big blue range box that I've got drawn up here. So I haven't mentioned that before, but it did occur to me that is one possible outcome. This right here with a short is still my primary expectation. That is still what I expect to play out over the next coming days. But undeniably, if the market proves me wrong on this and we continue to do this, then I would much rather be long in this neighborhood than short. But like I said, I'm pretty sure this thing is going to break down over the next few sessions, and then we'll be looking to short gold into that weekly cycle low because I don't think it's in just yet. And then last but not least, of course, we've got the stock market. So the big question for me is that the swing high? And if it is, then this would be pretty much to be expected, right? 34, 35 would usually be the day we expect to see the top come in, then a decline into a 38 to 42 day cycle low, and then we can resume out of there. So I wonder if that's what's coming. Or, as I've been talking about, there's no way of knowing yet. It's just too early to tell whether or not we forced an early cycle low here. We will know next week, because if we forced an early cycle low here, we'll continue higher, right? But if we did not force an early cycle low here, then we should expect to see a sharp and short correction throughout this week coming into that daily cycle low. And from there, we can talk about entertaining, possibly re-entering, and looking to catch a short-term swing trade on the way back up. For now, though, we did really well. Got a couple of positions on, taking the profit. So we're going to get to find out this week, okay? It's the same with the NASDAQ. So did we just complete a swing high, and are we going to roll over and find that daily cycle low? Or is this the cycle low back here? That's to be determined. There's no way of knowing until we see a few more candles. But of course, it's going to be a pretty obvious read by mid to late this week coming, because we're either going to continue higher, in which case that's certainly the cycle low, or we're going to roll over on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and then it's going to be pretty obvious that we have yet to find the cycle low. So we're going to find out either way, right? For now, the best thing to do is just stay out of the way. We're still pushing the Dow Jones long, okay? So at least we've got some exposure. Continue to push this. I think I'd be tempted to just adjust this trend line slightly to encompass these wicks, and then we'll see how high it can go, right? We will see how high we can get it up here. All the while we're above the upper sloping red support line, then I'll continue to push the long, and similarly break down from this upper sloping red support line, and probably going to want to take some more profit here. Still got my Russell 2K trade open as well, so we'll keep pushing this all the while we're holding above the upper sloping support line and the blue range break. But if we were to start to lose this upper sloping red support line or the blue box zone, then we'd probably be wise to be thinking about taking some more profit and some more size off of the trade. So overall, it's pretty simple, right? We've done well at capturing a bunch of gains, and now we're just waiting for the read to become clear. It's not the level that I care about. It's not the price action. What I care about is having a high probability setup and a nice place on the chart to manage the risk around. So we're going to get that this week, okay? Like I was saying, this week we're going to find out whether or not a top is coming in and we're going to find a cycle low, or whether we've already got the cycle low. And from having that understanding, from being able to make that distinction, we'll be able to figure out exactly how to position going forward. As I was also saying, we're looking to get short gold if it can set up. It has not done that yet. If you remember, look out for the signal. I'll give you the signal in the community tab as always. Also, possible ad for marathon that I'll be looking to set up. So again, don't be surprised if that comes this week. And the other thing I'm going to be focusing on is potentially taking more profit off the table for that Dow Jones if we can get that breakdown for that upward sloping red support line that I showed you. So I could see this week coming being a slightly more active week. I could see me actually modifying a lot more positions than we do typically. Generally speaking, though, it seems everything is more or less moving in the right direction. And as ever, we'll just continue to take it one day at a time, see what the market will give. No bias, no emotion. And of course, I'll continue to call out all of my positions ahead of time and let you know exactly how I'm going to handle them. If you're a level 3 member, look out for the video that's coming in a minute. We're going to run through all those crypto-related stocks. Also got a couple of altcoins to show you. For everyone else, I hope you're doing well in life. And until next time, take care from me. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Bye.